Hey there everyone, I hope everyone's alright. Just quickly wanted to show how I built my prides before showing them kicking ass in the Forever TLC, where they can do each round for instant repair. So my prides are not all equal. I have a fleet of four, three actually, because this one is barely finished, only has three weapons and three specials. So ignoring this one, I'll start with my flagship. This guy has agility system 4, and that is to give it good evade since it leads the pack. It also has resonance capacitor for turret defense, bonus combat speed, and extra damage. You can use resonance capacitor on the prides as long as they are with their aura activated, because their aura triggers resonance as yes here. But just remember, this aura gets disabled if you bunch any other friendly ship with the pride, so they need to run all separate. Otherwise I lose all my turret defense and they get instantly smashed against the base. My third special is Barrel System 3. This one gives extra 2 multi-shot to each scattergun, so they have by default 5 multi-shot. I add 2, which increases their base damage 2. Then I do Explosive System 4, extra projectile speed, less spread. The spread on these scatterguns is pretty high at 150. So with that I bring spread down a little bit and I add splash. So as you can see here in the attack block, my overall splash is 117% because I also get splash bonus from the narrow firing aperture and even more spread reduction. So that focuses the blast of damage, which is good if you're firing at a single turret. And not too bad, like having minus 50% splash still leaves these guys at a splash of 75, hits a good area. And splash of 117, I have damage bonus from the resonance capacitor, and then reload bonus and range bonus from the hull, and extra corrosive damage both from the special and the hull. So that's my setup along with speed system 5, all scatterguns. That's my lead ship. Okay. One important thing, also part of the aura, it has very high ballistic deflection, so my prides are very good against bases with a lot of cannon damage or concussive damage like Maxim turrets, or even against subs. They do not see subs, but subs don't damage them much really. Part of the abilities, just by having more than one pride in the fleet, each pride you have will give you more and more corrosive deflection, 500 per ship. So I run 4, I get 2000, and 1500 penetrative deflection. So I run 4, I get 6000, making it very, very strong all around, and strong against explosive if they are running separate from each other, which also gives them extra combat speed. So with the aura, not only the prideful ability, you get 55% more combat speed, so they get real fast. You get 80,000 explosive deflection, meaning you're pretty much immune to mortars and rockets. More corrosive damage, more reload, and as long as no friendly ship is nearby, closer than 25 points, which is a little bit over a land tile. Okay, this triggers resonance, which is the reason I have the capacitor as I mentioned before, and it's code snap immune, so you can go in channel and you're not going to lose the ability, so you're not going to lose the turret defense here. So that's my first ship, the one I sent ahead because it has high evasion, right? And good slow resistance as well. My second ship, and I change orders depending on what I'm hitting, but the second ship I have is this one that has 1 Gale and just 2 Phalanx 4. I send this one often second. It has a little bit radioactive plate. The first one has no armor because it's usually the first one to die, but it's also the fastest one to repair. This one has just a little bit radioactive resistance. And instead of having agility system, I put countermeasure loaders. So it gives more reload for the scatterguns. It also makes these countermeasures more efficient. I mean, this is not the end all be all countermeasure ship. Just gives me a little bit more resistance against missile heavy bases especially. The third ship is all offensive, so it's all scatter guns, has a heavier radioactive plate for more deflection, and instead of having agility system, it has high velocity rounds, which gives me faster projectile speed, more building damage, more wall damage. Right, that's the one I chose to use here. Could be siege targeting, uh, could be splash upgrade. There are a few other options you could put in here, but that's the one I chose. The other specials are the same: capacitor, barrel system 3, explosive system 4, speed system 5, and narrowed firing aperture, which gives splash, less spread, and corrosive. So that's my fleet. I have a fourth one, like I said, not finished, but that's the one I use to do the campaign. One last thing, if you don't have all the specials I use in here, instead of resonance capacitor, you can choose to use siege battery 3. That'll be the recommended alternative. Instead of explosive system 4, you could perfectly well use combustion system 2. That would work. Don't think there's any other that would be as effective as... No, that's it. So if you don't have narrow firing aperture, the other option could be the old special that came with the Fury, hydroxide injector. The problem is you cannot use this special and barrel system on the same ship. Then you gotta choose: either you put this guy, 1 multi-shot and 25 corrosive damage, or you leave barrel system and then you just go for splash upgrade or some other splash buffing special. If you don't have high velocity rounds, you can use, like I mentioned before, siege targeting 3 would be the next best choice. And you could also use, no, not drum reloaders, siege reloaders. So I gotta find it here somewhere. Here, siege reloader. That's the other option. I think these would be the main ones, right? Like instead of narrow fire aperture, if you don't have the firing aperture, you could use just viscosity regulator just for the splash buff. That's an option too to put in here. And that's it. I mean, armor, you can go armorless, less repair, but you probably will die on high-end bases. You could do a mix of radioactive and evade plates. I don't think you need penetrative plate at all, because the ship's already, unless you're running a single pride, then the deflection here is pretty low at only 1500. But the moment you start stacking them up in the fleet but keeping them apart, this goes up to 3000, 6000, 7500. So you really don't need pen plates. I hope that's helpful. Stay tuned, subscribe, hit like if you found this video useful. Now I'm gonna run through the Forever TLC a little bit and show some other uses in base hits for prides and how to drive them, okay? Take care everyone, stay frosty.